Going today, Emily. I'm excited for today's topic. Thank you for all for joining us. Emily, I believe you would take questions in the middle, correct? We don't need to wait until the end. So if you see something that doesn't make sense or you want to argue about or you don't understand or whatever, just please interrupt as we go. So with that, let's get started. Emily, thanks for joining us today.
All right, you're welcome. Let's get going. All right, just clarifying, can you guys see the correct screen and it's full screen?
Yep.
Awesome. And John, I cannot see the chat, so if it says something in chat, just
I'll,
interrupt me.
yep, I'll keep an eye on it.
All right, cool. Well, welcome to the fourth session of our Building a Better Business series. So far, we've talked about hiring, handling the wrong help, training new hires. So if you haven't seen those, I encourage you to go back and listen to those. But today we're talking about what happens after, so the delegation piece. The reality is most of you guys, you've hired help, but you're still drowning and you're still answering every single question. You're still fixing mistakes. You're frustrated and you're still doing most of the important day-to-day stuff yourself. So today we're going to talk about real delegation and not dumping work, but actually getting your time back. So here's our roadmap for today. Delegation is one of the things that sounds simple, but in practice, I know all of you know is incredibly frustrating. Um, Most leaders don't struggle because they're unwilling to delegate. I know this straight out. You guys are struggling, and I struggle too, because we don't trust the results yet. And today we're going to unpack through these items how to fix that. All right, so here's kind of my theme slide that I'm running throughout the series. It's why is this so hard? Why does it feel so hard? Most of you guys know you should delegate, but the reality is you can do the task faster yourself. No one's arguing that. Explaining it takes time, sometimes double or triple the amount of time it would take just to do it yourself. Correcting the mistakes takes time. When you start delegating, they are going to do it wrong. You have to accept that. Checking work takes time. We say trust but verify. When you're going back through and verifying, you have to create time in your day to go back through and verify. And that can feel redundant, but you have to do it. So it just feels easier to continue doing ourselves. But this is a trap that we're all falling into. And we talk to people every single day, John, about this trap.
Yep.
You are becoming the center of every decision, every task in your business. And eventually, the business only grows as fast as you can personally work. And I'm here to tell you there's only 24 hours in a day.
That's so depressing to hear you say. Come on.
We've capped out. All right, so I've got a couple good quotes for you guys today. If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, we have to go together. So remember that. All right. So the difference between assigning tasks and actually transferring ownership. So this is really the crux of what we're going to talk about. Most delegation fails because leaders assign tasks but never actually transfer the ownership. And I'm going to give you guys a very specific example of even where I personally, the expert, failed last week. And I am so frustrated with myself. And after talking to Zach, I was like, wow, that was so simple. Why didn't I take my own advice? But the task can sometimes sound like, hey, can you go take care of this, please? But real ownership sounds like, hey, you own this task and I expect X outcome. Ownership requires these three things: responsibility, authority, and accountability. Responsibility is that their job, authority, they're allowed to make decisions, and accountability, they know that they own the result. If someone has the first one, but no authority, they're going to get stuck and they're going to get stuck quick. If someone has the second authority, but there's no accountability, things are just going to fall apart and it's going to be uglier than when you started. Real delegation and really getting true work out to the masses, you have to have all three and you have to be intentional about it. All right, so this is what I like to call the delegation ladder. This is the place where we want to see our employees start stepping up and getting to the highest level of delegation. Step one is they're doing exactly what you say. So you say here, they're going to go here, right? Step two, they're going to go do something. They're going to research it. They're going to report back. That's the next level. Number three, they're going to start making recommendations. So you started to do this well, and they start to come back and go, hey, I'm now doing this, but I think this could be better or quicker, more efficient. Step number four, they're making the decisions and they're just informing you. They're not asking anymore and they're not making recommendations. And then step number five, the ultimate level of achievement in delegation of a task when we are all winning is when they own the outcome completely. They are doing it autonomously and the outcome is exactly what you desired. Note here, not every single task belongs at level 5 immediately, and you're not going to get there immediately, and having that expectation is just going to result in failure. New employees might actually start at level 2. So just know that some people are going to come in with a level of competency, and they don't have to start at level 1. You can start them at level 2. The goal is always to bring your employees, whether they're new employees or they've been with you a while, the goal is to be transparent with them and say, hey, I want you stepping up this ladder. And eventually, I want to be able to give you work assignments and you are owning the outcomes completely. We talked about in session 2 about the wrong help, but a word of caution here before you're hearing what I'm saying and you're going, I've got the wrong help. Even if somebody has worked for you for 2 years or for a while and you're still giving them step-by-step instructions, I would caution you, it's not necessarily a people problem. Sometimes it's a system problem. So let's look at these tools we're going to talk through today and make sure that our systems are really good and really clear and we can own the outcomes before we necessarily say it's a people problem. Delegation, true delegation, is about building capability over time, not overnight. All right, this is one of my favorite ones. It doesn't make sense to hire smart people and tell them what to do. We hire smart people so they can tell us what to do. As a leader, when my HR supervisor is coming to me and telling me, I've seen this, this, and this, and we need to do this, like the angels are singing in heaven. I am like, yes, we win. You know what you're responsible for. It's happening without my brain power. I still have all 10 spoons and things are happening. So Steve Jobs is exactly right. When you get to this point where the smart people in your business are coming to you and telling us what to do, it's a good day. All right, so where do we go first? Where do we start? Start simple. We want to delegate tasks that are repeatable, they're administrative, it's scheduling, coordination, right? So if we have no idea where to start in your businesses, start with these simple things. The helpful rule here is that if 70%, and I say 70, right? I know I am working with a lot of accountants who are super math specific. 70% just means the majority. If the majority of the task can be done by somebody else, delegate it. Meaning, like, if you're not worried about the other 30%, it'll be fine. That's where you start. Why? Because the goal isn't perfection. The goal is to give you capacity to grow these businesses. When you free up your time, you can focus on the work that actually grows your business. We talk about strategy, we talk about customers, adding customers, leadership, growing the leaders in your businesses, and making these big $100,000 decisions, $1 million decisions. That's the thing that we want our brain power working on. John? I'm flying
Great.
through it.
I
Anything
like
to
it.
add?
No, I think this is really good.
All right. Okay. So if you're like me, you can tend to be a little bit of a control freak. So how are we avoiding the micromanagement and not losing control? Because sometimes when we delegate, we feel like we lose a little control and we kind of have to check ourselves a little bit. Most micromanagement happens because expectations weren't clear from the start. If you've read Jocko's book, Extreme Ownership, that's this to a T. If you say handle this, your employee is going to be guessing and they're going to fill in the gaps with things that you don't want them to fill in. So instead, say, here's the outcome I need, here's the deadline, here's what decisions you can make without me. And when the expectations are clear, you don't have to hover. So back to the example I was talking about. We've got a phenomenal high school kid working for Zach and I now. Zach did not put out a single bale of hay this winter. It was phenomenal. He didn't go to the feeding pens maybe once because we had a water line bust. I can't tell you how wonderful our winter was. This kid, this high school kid that's working for us has just been phenomenal. That being said, I was talking to him the other day, and poor Keisha, who works with Zach and I, our inventory is a struggle. And I said, you know what? I'm going to bypass Zach. Hunter, our high school kid, he's just knocking it out of the park. I feel like this is something he can do and empower him, and maybe I can give him a bonus for doing it, right? So he comes over the other night, and I said, Hunter, we need your help with inventory. Is that something that you think you can do? He's like, yes, ma'am, I've got it. And I said, look, I'm not looking for perfection here. I'm going to send you a digital notes on your iPhone. You just fill it in and we're good. Yes, ma'am. Gotcha. Great. I feel like a rock star. I told Keisha and Mandy, this is happening. I told Zach, I don't need you anymore. Life is phenomenal. 2 weeks go by, and of our 20 lease pastures, I have one, just one. And I know this sweet child is feeding hay. I know he's going to each and every single lease at least once a week. And I'm like, okay, this isn't a Hunter problem. This is an Emily problem. Let's take a step back and see what I did wrong. I realized that when I told him this, I gave him absolutely zero parameters. I gave him zero deadlines, and I didn't really open the door for him to ask questions. And the other thing I did is I asked him in a vacuum outside of Zach. And so Zach doesn't know that I've asked him and how specific. So when I sat here and thought about it, I gave him a call and I said, hey, Hunter, how's the inventory going? And he was like, yeah, it's going. And I was like, Hunter, I really need to give inventory once a month. Do you think that you could have these inventory numbers filled in by the 15th? He was like, you know what? I got to get hay from the airport this week, but yeah, I could do it this weekend. I'm on spring break. Great. I said, moving forward, do you think you can do it by the 15th? Great. In 2 days, I had all of my inventory numbers fill in. And it wasn't a Hunter problem. It was a me problem. It was a communication problem that I wasn't clear. And I can't tell you, it was like tears were brought to my eyes when I pulled up that note on my iPhone. And I'm like, oh, I can screenshot this and text it now. Thank you, Jesus. Things are happening. So long-winded explanation to say that was a simple example. I was the problem. My employee wasn't the problem. I was the problem. I needed to take a step back and look at my instructions and be really clear.
Stan is looking at you incredulously because that never happens to him.
Oh,
The rest of you at
Stan.
that table better not smile.
Such a simple thing. Speaking of simple. All right, let's move on to our next topic here. SOPs.
The comment from, I assume this is Mimi, it's Argyle, Taylor Swift song, I'm the Problem. It's her.
Uh-huh. That's my jam. That's exactly right. I love it, Mimi. All right, switching gears here a little bit. Using simple SOPs without becoming bureaucratic. I'm going to skip that top part a little bit. Every single person, I've worked in corporate my whole career. My whole career, I have dealt with red tape, corporate BS. Okay, I get it. Hearing the word SOP feels stuffy. It feels like you're never going to get there, and it feels like so much work, your brain's going to explode. What I want you to do is take a step back, take a deep breath, and go. There are SOPs that are three things. It's what gets done, it's when it gets done, and what does done look like. Most SOPs in reality need to fit on one page, and I really hope that they have pictures. because we live in a society where gamification, pictures, instant gratification, that is what's going to get people's attention, keep their attention, and get the results. Sometimes it's just a checklist. Last month, we talked about onboarding. I worked with a family. We created a new employee onboarding sheet. They had someone start. There were things they didn't even think about. And just simply having the conversation and creating a check sheet made the process so much smoother. And it was one page and it was simple and it made everybody's lives easier and it was a better experience for the employee. So just remember, it can be a checklist. It can be pictures. The purpose isn't control, the purpose is consistency. If you don't know where to start, refer back to the previous page. What is administrative? What is something that can be done relatively easy and is not going to cause huge mistakes, and just get started? Doesn't have to have your logo on it, doesn't have to be perfect. When tasks are documented, people stop asking the same questions over and over and over that make you want to bang your head against the wall. Anything to add here,
Emily,
John?
just a quick note here. Zach has entered the conversation, so you may have to tone it down a little. Hey, buddy.
I won't talk bad about him anymore.
That's good.
I'm used to it.
I understand.
He's used to delegation. All right. So everybody who's on the call today and anybody who's watching, I want you to do this simple test. Are you in the weeds as a leader? Are you doing the work that only you can do? Are you sitting down with us at Ranch Right with Travis and Michaela and looking at your business summaries and making million-dollar decisions? Or are you doing the work that someone else should be doing today? This should be your gut check time. Every business owner eventually faces this moment. You look at your calendar, you realize most of your time are spent on tasks that someone else can do. Delegation is how you climb out of the weeds. And without it, your business is limited by you, your capacity. All right, Teddy Roosevelt. The best executive is the one who has a sense enough to pick good people to do what he wants done, and the self-restraint enough to keep from meddling while they do it. And this is hard, even for me. All right, this is my call to action for everyone today. We started this last week and I really like this. I want you to walk away today, Thursday, March the 12th, and identify one task that you should stop doing. This week, you still have time because I know most of you are working 6 days a week, so don't give me any of the mess here. Delegate it this week. Don't start on Monday. This is like a diet. We don't start on Mondays because we binge on the weekend. All right? One thing, delegate it, write a simple SOP, take pictures, and schedule a check-in. The minute that you delegate it, say, this time next week, I'm going to check in with you and see how it's going. Any questions on our call to action this week? All right. So my final thoughts for today. Delegation is not losing control, it's building capacity. And leadership means creating space for others to succeed. That's our whole purpose of being leaders in our business. It's not so we succeed, it's so the people around us can succeed, our communities, our employees, and everyone else. The goal is not to work harder, and sometimes people say work smarter. The goal is to lead better. All right. Questions?
Can I add a couple of quick comments?
Please.
On that early slide you showed about that sort of delegation hierarchy, one thing that I really am one thing I'm really cautious about when we hire someone that has a lot of experience, we still start at the beginning. And I have made the mistake multiple times of saying, hey, you've got a bunch of experience. I don't want to insult you. You know all this stuff. Just go. We now have a conversation that says, this may sound insulting, but we're going to cover everything from the beginning. We're probably going to do it at a faster pace with somebody experienced. but then we just make sure we've got everybody on the same page. Some of the biggest mistakes I have made, and Bert Teichert and I used to talk about this a lot. He felt the same way, and he was the one that really brought it to my attention, is you can move up this ladder too fast. And skipping steps here will cost you a lot in the long run, and often causes a lot of frustration and that sort of thing. The other thing on the SOPs you're developing for your call to action, I was taught to start with like a 3 to 5 step SOP. I don't know what you think about that, but sometimes one of the things that keeps me from developing an SOP is I get way too detailed too fast. And if I start with kind of a bullet points, 3 bullet points, 5 bullet points, something pretty simple, and then iterate on that, fill in as it goes. And I always enlist the people that are doing the task to continue filling out the details on those things. So once this task is delegated to you, the SOP becomes yours also. So I don't know if you have thoughts on that, but
the other interesting thing you could do is you can ask the person doing the task to write the SOP and
yep,
say, I want to see what it is when it gets done and what right looks like, and then them actually give it to you. And that's
yep,
very insightful.
yep, agreed. Cool, great stuff. All right, questions, comments, thoughts? Emily, what if the questions you had before, uh, what if I'm not maybe the only person can do this task, but I'm the only person that can do it at an A+ level?
You need to lower your standards.
Is that a good idea?
It depends on what the task is.
Agreed. So if this
Well,
is brain surgery, we don't want B+ work. But if
correct.
it's cleaning out the storage closet, we can probably get by with B+ or C+ work, right?
I try to say if it's customer facing or internal facing, it depends. If it's customer facing, we want A+ work. If it's not customer facing, we can probably take B-. Also, an 89 and an 80 are both Bs. So we need to really think about there's that effort versus what is that ratio? I can never remember it. Like, is the effort is it worth the squeeze? Is the juice worth the
Juice
squeeze?
worth the squeeze. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So there are definitely places where we can, it may not be the way we would do it, but it's good enough, right? And the done is good enough is sometimes okay.
Yep. Yep. Done is done sometimes, especially when it's
Yep.
not customer facing.
Yep. All right. Ed asks in the chat. We got a couple things here. Ed asks, how does an employee get an employer to give up some control?
Is Ed the employee or is Ed the employer?
Well, I don't know. I'm guessing it sounds this is an employee perspective question, I would guess.
Yeah. So for me, it starts with trust.
Yeah.
Have you built trust and credibility with your employer? Um, there's a certain mindset, I think, with some employees that they want to sit back and wait. But if the expectation is that you're autonomous and proactive, as a leader myself, I enjoy somebody coming to me saying, hey, I think this can be done better, more efficiently. I think I can do it and take that off your plate. I always appreciate that. So
Yep.
sometimes it's a hard conversation. As the employee, if you're having that conversation with your employer and it doesn't go well, it could be a couple of things. It could be maybe you needed to have a trust conversation. I hope it's always a good employer fit. And then three, it's just put yourself in the leader's shoes. Sometimes these are scary, delegating these things, and they have certain expectations. So always ask the why. If the answer is no, politely say why and how can I help support.
And you're asking why with an aim towards making it better in the future, right? So,
Yes, we
I
seek to
want to know why
understand.
so that I can be better.
Correct.
Yep. Yeah. Awesome. Very good. All right. Another question. This is a comment, I guess. This is Argyle again. I'm assuming this is Mimi, but maybe it isn't. Is there a question to ask here? Is it a money decision? And I assume she means what are the impacts of that? Sick calves being doctored versus fence being fixed. Uh, you know, if it's a money decision, it may require A work. If it's the, fence work, it may require, B work might be just fine. And I think that's more than fair. You can come up with ways to coordinate these tasks that are really effective. Let me add one more thing to that. When we talk about $20 an hour work and $1,000 an hour work, that's a great way to ordinate things. And the most important thing we can do as owners and leaders is make sure, is understand that our time is limited, our personal time, right? And so if I spend hours doing $20 work, that means I am literally not spending those hours doing $1,000 work. And as leaders in most of our businesses, I used to joke with, cowboys about this all the time. The decisions that a manager make can have a hundreds of thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, or millions of dollars impact on the business. Missing a sick calf and having that calf die could be hundreds or thousands of dollars, right? There's a real difference of the magnitude of those decisions. So if you are spending a lot of time doing that $20 an hour work, you are not doing that much bigger work. So keep that. That's a very expensive opportunity cost. All right. iPad asks, how much info do you give about impacts of decisions, i.e. financial, et cetera? This is a great question.
That's a great question, and I would give it. I'm a transparent person. I'm a very transparent leader, and sometimes too much so. But when you give them the why, sometimes they take it a lot more seriously. Um, and I can tell you too, it doesn't really go along with your question, but it's been in the back of my mind when we talk about delegation. Sometimes employees want more money or more pay when we delegate things. We need to be very clear what's within the scope of the job and what's without the scope of the job. And just because it's outside the scope of the job doesn't mean it necessarily comes with more pay, right? That's something that I think we need to be very clear with our employees is that just because we're asking you to take on extra responsibility doesn't mean it necessarily instantly comes with more pay. Sometimes you have to grow into those things and show that you can handle that responsibility. So don't be shocked if you're delegating and it's outside the scope. Also, don't be shocked if they have the courage to have that conversation because I think it's a very healthy discussion to be on the same page. I don't want you guys delegating and it being so far outside of what their job scope is, that they're just kind of like, do I really want to take this on? And we're already working 6 days a week, and do I really want more? Right. So make sure that what you're delegating, you're on the same page and it's in scope.
That said, I will add to that. While adding pay can be a way to motivate some people and can be a reward, adding responsibility for many people is a reward in itself. There
Mhm.
are lots of people that are motivated by more responsibility. And while that often means you can grow into a larger position and ultimately get paid more, sometimes the work itself is the reward.
Yep. And those are the employees you want to keep and find more of because the ones who enjoy the responsibility and that's what fills them is fulfilling to them. Those are the ones you want to copy and paste.
Yep, good. Just to give an idea, we talk often about the financial impacts of jobs and that sort of thing. One thing that I heard years ago that was very helpful to me that I've repeated many times over the years is, if I've got a cowboy that is responsible for an 800 cow herd, right now, if those cows are worth 4,500 bucks a piece, that kid is in charge of $3.6 million worth of assets. And that's just the cows. That leaves out the fence, the water infrastructure, the pasture, et cetera. When you compare that to somebody that goes to work every day in a suit and tie in town and maybe does portfolio management, that sort of thing, that's a pretty good lick. That may be more than your local banker deals with. And so we want to make sure we are sort of understand the significance of what we're doing doing it at the appropriate level with the appropriate professionalism. All right, what else, guys? Nothing. She killed it so badly that you don't even want to talk about it, or it's so good you just basking in the glow of it.
I was trying to keep it to 30 minutes today. Keep
You did
everyone's
great.
attention.
You did really well. Now they're just stunned. Zach, you want to add anything to this? Since you get lessons one-on-one at home?
Speaking of delegating, he's probably got all three children with him.
Oh, perfect. Hey, for that, children are a great opportunity to experiment with delegation. They are wonderful little lab rats if you are nervous about trying this out with your real employees first. All right. Well, if we don't have any more questions, let's wrap it up. Emily, thank you. Any final thoughts you want to share before we close?
Uh, the only one that I've been thinking about is I can't remember what book it's from, but it's called the Law of the Leadership Lid. And if you can do any research on it, it
I think
basically
that's
says
Maxwell.
John Maxwell.
I think so.
And basically, it says that the leadership caps your business. So it doesn't matter if you got Michael Jordan on your team. My friends from the 90s will appreciate that. If Michael Jordan's on your team, he's going to keep hitting his head on that leadership lid. So if you use these tools we're giving you and expand your leadership capabilities, you're going to be able to let your Michael Jordan fly. So just know you may have a rock star on your team, but you got to expand your own mindset and your own capabilities so that you can let them be a rock star too.
Yeah, that's Maxwell. I just Googled it real quickly. That
He's a
comes
good
out of
one.
his, I think, doesn't he have a book like the 21 Laws of Leadership or 21
Something
something,
like
21
that.
laws of something or other? Okay, good.
Yep.
Great book, by the way. Okay, awesome. I think I would totally agree with that. And I think I'll just say, as a business owner, as a person that has managed people for many years, it is incredibly hard to delegate things, harder than you think. It is also really easy to estimate your own abilities and competencies and really underestimate what the potential is for yourself and for your people. And I think over and over again, what I find is every time I delegate something that scares me, I am not only more impressed than I expect with the results that I ultimately get, but it allows me to do something that is, 2 to 5 times more valuable in that same amount of time. As I have gotten better and better about this, I feel like there are more and more things that at this point now I'm not even aware that they have been delegated. It's been delegated and handled so much that Daniel Strong is the perfect example. He just takes care of things. I don't have to check up on him anymore. We did that for years and now we don't. And he has got it handled, and it is so freeing for me. And I think it's freeing for him. He's working in his competency, and I am working in mine. And together, we're much more effective than if I was running around trying to do both of our jobs. Because what it truly happens as the leader is we get so fragmented that often our attention is not 100% on what we're doing. If we built a business correctly, we have people working in their competencies, but we also have them really focused on one thing or one group of things that are often very similar. If I am, and again, I'll make a feed yard example, but if I'm at the feed yard, I'm at a 10,000 head feed yard, and I'm the one in charge of feeding and shipping and marketing, and I'm trying to ride pens while my phone is ringing constantly, I may be a better pen rider than most cowboys, but not if I'm talking on the phone trying to coordinate with a trucker, right? It can't work that way. I don't care how good you are. If you are multitasking, you are multi-failing. So let people work in their area, let them develop, let them get better, and then you work in your area and try to do what you can to assist them. Awesome. All right, with that, let's go. Emily, I really appreciate it. Look forward to seeing you next month. So first Thursday of next month, we will be back. So look forward to seeing you there. And then don't forget, please, if you don't already, listen to the Ranchonomics podcast. Got lots of good stuff on there. And then we have our third Thursday webinar coming up in a week, which is our financial foundations webinars. So look forward to seeing you in those places. So thanks, guys. Have a great afternoon.
Thanks.
Thank you.